Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazine. A new version of Stephen King's The Stand is coming your way, and I'm here with one of the, well, so far, the survivors, James Marsden. Talk a little bit about immersing yourself as an actor into the world of Stephen King.
Well, one, I had to separate the fan version of myself from the actor version of myself because I was giddy to be a part of this. I mean, I read The Stand when I was 18, and I obviously know Stephen King and grew up on his books, his movies, all of his content. I couldn't consume enough of it, so I'm a super fan to begin with, and then to be a part of what I think is viewed as one of his great masterpieces is just another, career bucket list kind of thing. So I was really, you want to do it justice to be able to play Stu Redman, this iconic character from the Stephen King universe, is pretty special. So stepping into this world at the time, we started shooting in September of last year. So this was all pre-pandemic.
Did you bring the pandemic on us? Did you will this? Was this all product placement for the show?
No, I think we're trying to distance ourselves the best we can from that. It's really been not great timing because it does, this, obviously the book was written in the 70s, and Stephen King has had this resurgence with his material just in the last, 5-10 years. He's everywhere. So it was good. It's just a great, cool, I'm in. I want to be a part. You're asking me to be a part of The Stand. That's one of his best. Let's do it. And at the time, it was, this could be how it ends, right? This is, it might not end with a giant World War III. It'll be end with a virus. And I liked his exploration of that concept. I didn't know that we were actually going to see what we've been seeing this year when we were filming this last fall. And at the end of the day, I think The Stand, if you really want to dive into it, is about so much more than this virus that wipes out 99% of the population. That's the catalyst for the story. The story is what happens to humanity when there's only a handful of people left, and
it's funny because
what emerges from the dust.
And there's a clear delineation. Somehow or another, people go good or people go evil.
Right. So you realize, okay, those may just be essential things in humanity, right? That there's always going to be good and there's always going to be evil. And you can look at that as a positive thing, or you can look at that as a negative thing. And ultimately, our existence is about choices. And we choose who we want to be every day when we wake up and what kind of world we want to live in. And I think the people in Boulder are the ones who believe in virtues like kindness and community and respect and taking care of one another. And I think that they reflect the best that we can be as humans. And they see that as the only way to rebuild. And then you've got, Randall Flagg which is a lot of fun. I mean, that is, I know you haven't seen it yet, but the Vegas stuff with Alexander, and it's a blast. And it is the dark side. And sometimes we're more drawn to the dark side than the kind of, the good heroes on the other side. But that's it, right? It's like what happens when there's a reset, and who do you want to be, and what choices do you want to make?
But there's also a strange atmosphere of spirituality that kind of perseveres. I mean, especially with Whoopi Goldberg's character, where almost like the voice of God is driving her, and then you're having the visions to be drawn to her. So I don't want to put a heavy hand on your answer for this, but how much sometimes do you feel you're being guided?
It's not lost on anyone that was a huge part of this really interesting story in The Stand that is difficult to slip into one genre. And like you said, that spiritual element that Mother Abigail brings to it, the spiritual element, the supernatural element that Randall Flagg brings to it, is classic Stephen King, and he writes his own rule book. And I think that just makes it so much more interesting. And with the spiritual element of the whole thing, I think that whether we're aware of it or not, each one of us is connected to some spirituality in this world. And some people are more tuned in and more curious about discovering that and about exploring it. And some people, may shrug it off as a bunch of BS. But I don't think we are just what we see and what we touch. I think there's a lot more to it. And I think Stephen King is, in his deft hands, masterfully inserts that element into this story. And it makes you question, is fate a real thing? Or are we just the product of our decisions? And I don't think that I think he also likes leaving it open-ended, letting each person decide, how much spirituality or how much of a force is out there pushing us towards a certain direction versus the other one, and how much is not. And I think that's another measurement that we take on ourselves when we look at our own existence is, what is guiding us? Some people will look at a fortune cookie and say, oh, this is, I have to abide by this, or a horoscope or something. And some people don't date a Taurus because every Taurus they dated doesn't work out in the relationship. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to me to explore that. And then there's very kind of straight up fact science people that are just like, hey, if I can't see it or touch it or hold it, I don't believe in it, and to that I say, I guess that's just the spectrum of people out there, right? I have my own spirituality about this world, and I also sit in awe at knowing and comfortably knowing that I don't have all the answers to the universe. I don't have the possibility to. But for me to say that there isn't something else that's sort of navigating us through life a bit and our decisions, I would say that, there absolutely is. But it also, you have agency and authority to make your own decisions as well. But I don't have any of the answers, but I know that it's fun to explore all of that in this, so that it's not just, science-based, fact-based stuff, that there's an element of spirit, of soul that you can't necessarily see, that you can't necessarily touch, that's guiding us through life.
James Marsden, as always, it's such a pleasure. And why couldn't Stephen King have written a little musical moment for you? I'll never know.
Maybe there is one.
The show is called The Stand, and this is Scott Orlin. Until next time.
Good to see you, Scott.
Always like to hear you sing.
Well, you might in this.
Bye.
Albeit briefly.